The next and last session of the day is also a panel discussion. And the topic is Think Before You Automate, a futuristic approach of hyper automation and intelligent RPA. This discussion will be moderated by Sagar Kothe, Director, PwC India. And we have a very distinguished panel of speakers joining him. They are Varundeep Kaur, CIO at Spice Money, Rohit Kumar Sharma, Intelligent Automation Lead at IBM Technology Sales at IBM India South Asia, and Narottam Sharma, Group CIO at Mastech Limited. Welcome to the session, panelists.
Hello all, a warm welcome to all of you on this session on Think Before You Automate, a futuristic approach of hyperautomation. Well, I, Sagar Kothe, a director with PwC India firm, have joined by eminent panelists to discuss on this topic. Automation as a subject has been there for a long time, way before I started my career. Earlier, getting computerization of a process of itself was known as automation. When I started my career, implementing an core system, an ERP or a core banking system was considered automation. And here we are talking about hyper automation. There have been several jargons thrown around about what is hyper automation. So I would start off this session with asking each of our panelists to introduce themselves and their business and what, as per their definition, is automation or hyper automation or any jargon they've been using in this organization, and what are the technologies they have been using part of it. So I'll start with Varundeep. Over to you, Varundeep.
Yeah. So thank you, Sagar. I am Varundeep, CIO Spice Money Limited, and we serve tier 3 and tier 4 cities largely onto that. By hyper automation or by automation, we mean that whatever we are doing manually as of now, and that does not require any human effort, that can be automated. And what I follow as a practice is that you have to automate the trivial and you have to humanize the exception. Don't do automation or hyper automation for the sake of automation because everybody is doing it, right? So in our case, if I talk about, so we are using RPA for reconciliation. So we have fully automated the reconciliations which are happening. So RPA bot downloads the files, then it sends that processing information to BigQuery, and then after processing that, it displays that information onto a visualization tool. So what happens is that here, first, your customer complaints don't come because you are proactively handling that particular stuff. And if there is any refund or any reversal that is required, so that will happen automatically. Second is that your people, like here in case of reconciliation, when we used to do it, so our entire revenue assurance team used to wake up, say 5 in the morning, even they have to work on the weekends also, where they will download the information, process the information, and then present that information. So here, in this particular case, what was happening? So we were not able to get back to the customer on time, right? Apart from that, there are complaints that we have taken into consideration, like if somebody wants to see the status of the complaint, or he has done a recharge, or he has done a AEPS, Aadhaar enabled payment system. So there, what a particular person needs to do. So for any query or any complaint that comes, so the bot will pick up that particular ID from the portal and then validate that information with the aggregator portals and then present it. So here we are saying in terms of automation, we are following low code, no code tools as well as RPA. And here in case of low code, no code is that you have workflows. As of now, what used to happen is that all of the information where some updates are required or some IT level processing is required, because you will not give access to your business teams directly. So what used to happen is that all the workload used to come to technology. And that is a kind of a, I would say it does not include any value addition in that. You have that tickets that you need to solve for it, but this can be automated. So that is where we have identified the areas where we can automate the workflows, where approvals can also happen, and you don't invest too much time creating the UI or the backend system. And then also in case of the business rule engines, so that can be on the basis of location, where you will give the access, or you will say the power going back to the user rather than it staying with you. So it also covers your risk and compliance. You become more compliant, and you don't have to add more manpower in this particular case. So this is how I believe is the hyper automation or automation.
Thank you. So, Mr. Narottam.
Hello, Sagar. Hello, everyone. So, myself, Narottam Shaman, I'm the Group CIO for Mestec. We are into global IT services and largely into the digital transformation and digital engineering services. We have a tagline of decomplex digital, and that decomplex digital automation is one of the piece which is key. And Mestec has a mantra that when we to automate the customer, it becomes very important for us to automate and become efficient internally also, so that we can leverage internal innovation, external offering as a concept, as well as bring an efficiency which help us to improve our margin and help us. Now come to this hyper automation, as you rightly mentioned, Sagar, that, with the time, the definition is changing, but the intent is not changing. The intent is that how do we work out three major KPIs, or maybe three major areas to improve by the digitization, automation, or a combination of it, or maybe having a process digitization, then try to do some jobs which are repeatable or scalable, put it onto the the bots, and getting this RPA thing into place. So you rightly said that in one of the panel before this last year for the G2 itself, I said from a digital evolution to right now we are in a digital revolution state. And why? Because we have enough technology around, we have enough skills which can help it, and thanks to this pandemic that it has made it more important from a business resiliency point of view. So earlier it was more of a tech guy might want to come and say that I want to automate and I will help you to save the cost. Now it is getting reversed from a point of view that if you need to become a business resiliency into place, if you need to make your business continuity into place, you have to bring the digital workforce into the game. And that's where the entire thing starts. And then it goes to this hyper automation piece. So what we do at Mestec, we have a holistic strategy which talks about how do we build the foundation layer, and how do we talk about scalable and repeatable, and then how do we talk about aspiration. This entire theme is, this entire principle goes into 5 themes. One is how we will digitize in platforms which help us to have process digitization. How do we work on the integrated value chain where we integrate multiple vertical functions into common? And then how do we bring an intelligent automation into it? So this is a layer on top of it. And how do we become intelligent by the data insight? So this is the overall piece what we have. In that case, right now, we are working on multiple processes in the company. We are trying to identify where we can build the efficiency and scale. To share just now from a perspective of IT, which we call DCT, not the IT, we call our team to be a digital catalyst team. So where we have automated most of the manual processes of the human intervention required from an IT service request point of view. The next what we did a service request for shared services model, which is largely to the enabling function that whatever we can automate from an employee interface perspective, internally we are doing it. Third, which we are working right now onto the major business use cases, and that's where the hyper automation come into play. That tech side we did, now we are having a focus around the business side. How do we bring that also into the the game? And let's say an example, being a global company, we have multiple countries, multiple payroll system, multiple way of data collection around payroll. It takes a lot of time. So we thought, how do we work out and create a hyper automation which can help us to automate the entire payroll processing, which help us to save a lot of time, human workforce, data accuracy, and help us to scale. And as Varun rightly mentions, I will not repeat, you have to use, the BPMS platform. These are it is intelligent BPMS, what we talk about, no code platform, then RPA, multiple technologies are there. So from that agnostic point of view, all of these technologies we are exploring, few we are using, and few we have a plan to use in future. So from my perspective, just sum up, hyper automation is where you have your tech, process automation, as well as you have a more focused approach towards the business process automation, which help you to enable the business both from resiliency and along with that cost, velocity, and the compliance piece of it. So with that, I just rest my self at this stage.
Fantastic. So, from going from a financial company to an logistic company, so an IT mammoth. So, Rohit, your view on this subject?
Absolutely, Sagar. Hello, everybody. This is Rohit Kumar Sharma. I'm Intelligent Automation Lead for India and South Asia. So, automation today, it's not only a buzzword. It's a need of the hour. It is a way through which companies are finding growth markets. It is a way through which companies are becoming more resilient, more adaptive to the changes. Now, for definition, I would say automation, as you know, it's about automating, or it's like bringing bots to your rule-based work, and they take up some of your employee work and they make you more efficient and productivity. But I believe hyper automation is already there in the market. So it allows company to go beyond normal rule-based automation, and it takes them to a new journey wherein they can see what is happening in their business processes. They can see what is going to be automated state. They can figure out ROI well in advance, and also they can create kind of a digital twin for themselves, which ensures that their automation journey is successful. In our experience of working with various entities across the globe, be it in Western world or be it in countries like India, so companies are definitely struggling with first phase of automation. That's where you get new technologies which comes under hyper automation. So when companies automate their low-hanging fruits, Varun spoke about some reconciliation activities. Narottam also spoke about the typical low-hanging fruits. But if one has to go through the entire digital transformation journey, if they have to reach the next stage, they need to bring this hyper automation, which ensures that you have the technologies which enables you not only to figure out processes, but envisage what is going to be the end state. Probably that's the reason that companies are using technologies like RPA, process mining, workflow, decision management. While RPA can solve maybe a state away a chart and reconciliation problem, but when it comes to complex decision making, you would certainly need AI, you would certainly need machine learning, and you would certainly need something which can look at your hindsight mirror and also take you to the forward journey. That's about my view on automation and hyper automation.
So thank you, Rohit, for your views. Thank you, all of you, for expressing the definition of what hyper automation means to you and your organization. Moving on to the next question: having automation being adopted by each of this organization by force or by choice, do you think that with this journey that people have embarked on hyper automation, God forbid if there is another pandemic-like situation and we have to go back to the way of working that we used to do in 2020, do you think hyper automation has future-proofed each of this organization by integrating technology, people, and process?
So, Sagar, I would say that here hyper automation, or if we have to return to same ways of work, we will not have this change is now completely irreversible. So you will have certain things where there is going to be a new way of work, and organizations have understood that automation is the key. You cannot be dependent solely on the human beings, and you have to give human beings what they can do favor of. Means like here, if there is something which is very simple, let it be automated. And if that requires a lot of complex decision making or AI and building models onto that, so probably that is something that we will leave to the people or human beings in the entire process. So this is, I believe this is going to be irreversible. People will adopt, people have adopted, and this is going to continue.
So I believe post-pandemic, we are living in a different world today. The way business is being conducted, it's absolutely very, very different behavior. There is absolute change in way people, process, and technologies were interacting with each other, with customers, with partners, with vendors. So it brings in a lot of I would say challenge as well as opportunities. Challenge because it brings in a lot more new complexities which were never envisaged earlier. Opportunities because the COVID it only acted as a catalyst for automation program. Companies are more nimble today. Even if pandemic strikes us, God forbid it doesn't. If it strikes us again, I think we are better prepared. So post-pandemic, automation has ensured that companies are more resilient. It has ensured that people, process, and technologies are very much connected together. It has ensured that companies are in a state where they are looking at more cost efficiencies. They are looking at improving their productivities. Some of the loopholes are already plugged in, but there is a lot more to be done. And I believe the next phase of automation, hyper automation, is going to help companies achieve all that.
Thank you, Narottam sir.
So I think Varun and Varundeep and Rohit has given a perspective. I have nothing much to add on this. The only point which I say, as I said in my initial comments as well, that the automation is going to continue, in terms both of automation, hyper automation, and it will proceed more. There are many reasons to it. One, definitely, as I said, from the business resiliency point of view, you cannot avoid it. So as you said, it's going to continue. The answer is yes. And the answer is 200% yes, that it is going to continue, but it will come in much more, regressful way. The only thing that companies need to be very conscious, they don't need to be in the rut of automation. They need to find out the right use cases for them, the right places where it need to be done. In my view, when you get into the business process automation, right, definitely going to be complex, but you need to identify that which complexity you want to solve, right? So it's not that the complex programs can't be run on the hyper automation piece, because that's exactly the outcome what we are looking for. The how do you solve the most complex problem in a simplified manner? That's what my line to that. But to answer your point, yes, it is going to be continue, and we cannot avoid the automation piece. As I said earlier, again, I'm saying it is not tech who will push it. It is more business who's pushing it. So let's say, for example, if the business owner comes with the, he has to improve the margin, right? How will you improve the margin? You need to bring efficiencies, you need to bring scale, you need to do more with less, and at the same time, scale or speed. And fourth, which is business continuity. So it's going to continue. There is no way it's something which is going to go away from, from the mix. Just to pick up on the Rohit point earlier, every company is at a different stage. So if I tell in my strategy, process mining is something we have kept for next year from a perspective that at least let's have the digitization across all verticals. Let's have integration across all. Then we will come to know that, by putting a mining that, what kind of efficiency loss or what kind of a process, challenges we have. So definitely that's the way to go. And AI and ML, needless to say that artificial intelligence cases are going to increase, and they are the way forward. So with that, Sagar, over to you.
Moving on, so we can stably establish that that hyper automation has enabled a lot of the organization currently to sustain any kind of sudden shock when it comes to if anything goes wrong, or we have similar situation that we had in 2020. The transition to moving back to those terms would not be that difficult. One of the cartoon that went around in those period of pandemic was that the best CDO or the best CXO award going to an coronavirus, because he has been the uh, evangelist of automation in every organization. Uh, so what is the C-suite or CXO level currently worried about? On what are the red flags or what are the challenges they should be looking for as they are either starting or going to the next phase of hyper automation? So your views on this, gentlemen.
So I'll answer this question beyond hyper automation, because hyper automation is only a subset of overall business aspects that will get covered. Here at CXO level, definitely there is a perspective which says, forget about any pandemic, but if you look at the business scenario, nothing has changed from 2020. We all are living in a world where the world is moving towards a hybrid work environment. So, especially the services company, which is largely a people-based company, you may be also facing the same point that we are not able to bring the entire workforce to the company, right, to the physical location. Second is that when you need to look for a talent hunt, which is a big challenge for most of the services company, the new people want a lot of liberties, to work from any location which they want. So it is like more of a business imperative that we have to think into those areas, that we continue the status quo of workability in this hybrid environment, and we make it more efficient from a business point of view. So with that note, yes, definitely there is one point, that how do we ensure that we have a complete business running despite of any location an individual is. And second is, in that environment, how do we ensure that we have all compliances which comes from a cybersecurity and data protection or other aspect is also managed. That is another area which is definitely a point. Third is, which is very important, that how do we give an experience to an employee which is really at par or better than what it used to be before, because it's a differentiator for you at this stage. If you do not give that experience, the employee might not feel very connected. So whether you call about collaboration, whether you call about their queries answering, so let's say, for example, you have a lot of policies in the company around people side or maybe finance side or any other department, right? How do you ensure that the person has an information available handy to him? We all talk about all those automations piece into this. So this is one example, but beyond that, even from a technology perspective, how do you provide the support to him, which is seamless to him, right? And it is, so there's a lot of work dynamic, and the business model itself is changing. This is internal, but if you talk about how you will ensure that your employee deliver the same service to the customer when they are into the different locations, you have to see that aspect as well. So if I sum up my point of view, Sagar and Rohit, that at a CXO level, major aspects are, how do we give an employee experience? How do we ensure our business continuity? How do we ensure that we bring efficiencies into our operation? And how do we scale despite I should not say constraint, but enablement of people from any location, any time, which allow you to attract more talent and come to the business side of it. Beyond this is again, how do we optimize our cost and other aspect by using of an automation piece, so that I can get a value from my margin or cost optimization point of view, which help me. Or the another aspect in the automation is coming, which is very much in probably right now. How do we approach customer even at the early stage, or maybe the new customer, and how do we use digital in that aspect? Because that is also one angle to increase your revenue perspective. So yes, it is definitely a talk into the CXO discussion. The only thing that everyone is at a different level of it at this from a stage point of view, but it is a discussion definitely on the table. And just to sum up, last one was pandemic in 2020, and right now this global scenarios which are changing are the another reason for you to push to think for optimization of every type, whether it is cost, whether it is resources, whether it is anything else, and do more with the less. Again, the same concept and scale. So yes, that's largely the discussion we see.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely, Sagar. So I concur with Narottam on this particular point. Uh, I believe CXOs has this experience challenge big time. They, today, of course, there is a war for the talent, and companies want to acquire the best talent possible. And talent is also looking at companies which gives them one, growth opportunities, second, which enables them to utilize their skill to the best possible way. Second, the way the entire world is moving in last few months, there is a lot of cost pressure, and companies do not want to invest in areas which does not give them one, quick ROI. Second, it has to be short opportunities. Earlier, when companies were flexible enough, they would do trial and error. But today, in today's time, they want to be absolutely short. Whatever opportunities they are investing in, it has to give results. The results has to be measurable, and it has to be up to the expectation, whatever they had planned. So the entire view of the company, it has to be there with all the stakeholders at every time. That is what companies are striving for today. And I believe this is going to open a whole new aspect of one, automation. Also the cyber other cyber challenges. Today, people are working from home. It brings in new aspects. I mean, the entire data is available in system of records, email, some of the conversation which were happening face to face. Today, you have all that data available in servers. You pull that data, utilize to your advantage, and be done with it.
So on one hand, hyperautomation has brought new avenues of business opportunities. So it has brought new threats to the organization because of the lines of working where we are from the location of working are getting blurred. One important topic or aspect that both of you touched was on the aspects of the people experience and the employee experience. Amongst the automation evangelists in each of the firms or each of the sectors, they think automation till now always has been an top-down approach. Means you have the people, the departmental head, the business head, thinking of efficiency and pushing it down to the larger workforce. The next phase and the real value would come when it is a bottoms up, which means that you have the larger people in the organization, the so-called citizen of the organization getting led. That's where the term citizen-led program has come up. So I want to understand your take on this, and as an organization, is it something you have embarked upon, and what's the result, and what kind of technologies you've been using for citizen-led?
It's a very interesting point, Sagar, and I just resonated to my discussion today afternoon. I was sitting with few members of one of the function in the company, and we were just talking about automation only, but not in the context of this. So what I should say that, it's largely a culture aspect what you have touched upon more than anything else. It's an aspect of culture, that how that culture comes into the organization. There are three ways to which I feel is definitely need to be go through from that point of view. One is that we do an automation mandate from the top, that this is what we need to do, right? This is the top 2-3 KPIs what we put into play. And sometimes it doesn't work largely in the company when you go a big drive of automation, because the people start feeling in very different way to it. So that softer aspect, you need to take care of it, While nowhere it happened that you fire people, but sometimes people start saying that they have very, I should not say they have a fearless, but they have very emotional attachment to the work what they do, and they start feeling that it may not be a candidate of automation, this may not be a candidate of admission. No, we don't have any problem initially. So I'll give an example. When you ask people that how much time you spend on this, how much time you spend on this, oh, this data is available and this is how we do it, so it doesn't take much. So what I'm trying to say is that initially the culture aspect what you need to build around, where you make them aware that what value it brings to them. So one value is for organization, the another value is for an individual as well, where they let. So one is that they definitely need to develop on a business acumen of it. That is one side. The second is they need to be made aware that what value it will create for them as an individual. So to share an example, which I was just telling to you, that we said that, health, family, and wealth, these are the three areas which every individual to have in their own aspect. So let's say an example, an individual spending 12 to 13 hours in office in doing certain tasks which can definitely be automated at its level or maybe in the surrounding. And let's see if he's able to spare 2 hours of it, which he can spend with the family. That is an indirect or a direct return, right? Which can add value to himself or to his family, and which can turn around his relationship beyond the office hours, right? Or maybe he spend that time onto his self-development. So more than simply going with a direct number that it will bring down, it will improve my efficiency 35%, it will give me that much of bottom line improvement, or it will have this much of cost saving. If we bring this softer aspect into the play, and we do a lot of awareness around this, and we involve people as a participative, and they become the volunteer of change from the automation point of view, definitely it can happen. But honestly, at this stage, I'm not aware that if anywhere it is coming directly from the citizen side that please bring the automation for me in this area. I have not experienced it yet, but I'll be more than happy if it comes from the bottom side of the organization, because then the right value can come out. Because when a direct user asks for a change, then the adoption and the value creation is easy than when you push it. So pull and push concept will definitely help here. So that's it from my side on this, I think.
So Rohit, what are you seeing?
So Sagar, as a OEM of automation products, we have been working with Fortune 500 companies as well as mid-size and smaller companies. I'll share a couple of experiences, and I believe any enterprise, they should take two-pronged approach. Top-down approach, which will ensure that company stays on the automation program. It brings that focus. Also, it ensures that there is a bit of change management which is required, that can be done from a top-down approach. But I believe the real fruit lies in the bottom-up approach. Bottom-up approach ensures that automation is democratized. Everybody become a participant into this entire program, and it creates that virtuous cycle. In some of the most successful automation program, we have seen that when this virtuous cycle is created, then people themselves, they keep on bringing cases for automation, because end of the day, it is improving each and every employee life. So the way automation would impact chairman's time in auto scheduling his calendar, similar way it would help a person who is sitting as an agent, or who is sitting to take care of those leave management system, or who's ensuring that people are making an entry into the gate. So each and every aspect of every organization is impacted by automation, and real fruit lies in making it democratic, making it more participative, and change management is absolutely important. So one of the company we had been working with, so initially, of course, there was some fear that automation going to take up their importance within the company. But when automation ensured that some of these team members, their productivity goes up, they themselves kept on bringing more and more use cases, and today that particular organization is able to achieve a lot more efficiency than simply top-down approach.
Absolutely. And this is probably one area as a firm which I represent, PwC. I think we have been an front runner in this. And as Narottam sir said, you have to create an environment around the citizen, that it's not your foe, it's in your ally. and create a lot of buzz around it. And this is, as you said, it's just not about technology, it's about change management, getting the fear out of it, and incentivizing to a certain extent. That has seen a lot of value for not only for us, this we have done it for our clients as well. So yes, I think that's a way forward. Given that we are on top of our hour, so probably I'll finish up one for the final question. Now, like as I said, the journey of automation we have seen. The next phase is everybody's buzzword. The next big buzzword is AI, and not people can able to demystify it, but for sure, hyperautomation is one step towards it. So I wanted to close the session asking both of you the question: how do you think AI is being combined with automation going forward to deal with the complex problem, as we're talking about moving from a task automation to process automation to end-to-end automation? What do you see as a view of AI in this journey?
So I'll just pass it on to Rohit, to just give a perspective, being they, I have a larger aspect purely from an automation. I can talk about AI, ML in an overall context, but Rohit, if you want to pick this up.
Absolutely, Narottam. Happy to contribute here. So IBM is essentially, as you know, it's an AI company. So automation has done wonders for many organizations. Many companies are on different stage of their evolution. Some have started, some are midway. But I believe AI is going to put in absolutely different trajectory, and this trajectory is definitely going to impact each and every company. If I may use the term, it's going to be the next disruptive force. Today, bots are created by enterprises. Tomorrow, the future lies in bot creating bot. Many of the companies, they are looking ways to measure, discover and optimize processes. In future, all of these things would happen automatically. A tool which will figure out automation opportunity, the tool itself will create bots. Those bots, they will have audit bot that is going to audit these bots and ensure that they stay on their path. For example, if a particular process is broken for any P2P program or any payroll process, the measurement device, or rather measurement technologies, it would figure out that gap. It would automatically create that bot. It would plug in that gap, and without anybody feeling that change, the bot will self-improve. Bot will aid that process, put band-aid that process. So that is going to be future of automation. And we believe with new technologies coming in, the journey is going to be faster. The journey is going to be better. It's going to be a smoother ride for each and every organization around us.
I absolutely agree. AI definitely, as you rightly said, Rohit, across a lot many use cases are going to come. It's an evolution. Absolutely right. And with the time, you will see a lot many things will move towards it. But right now, it is exploratory. If I say in a business context, maybe we have a lot of mix of it, that it's an AI use case or not. But I was just reading it on the LinkedIn somewhere that people simply say AI ML, but ML is a case. ML is an input towards an AI. So I think we are at a stage of where machine learning is probably need to be explored more to create the right use cases for AI enablement. And as you rightly said, Rohit, that we all are at a different stages of it, but definitely it's the future. And this is very interesting, which you said, bot will create bot, and then you will have an audit bot, which opens a completely Pandora of way of working, even a complete business model change. Probably this can bring. So yeah. Thanks for sharing that insight, Roy. This is good. And thanks, Sagar.
So probably I'll just, as a closing comment and summarizing it, hyper automation is in whatever shape and form is there is everybody's agenda. People have gone it and gone further with the right kind of real guards around what to be automated and what should the risk they should be aware of. And this path is taking a lot of organization to the next buzzword, which is AI, which will come up with own set of challenges and own set of governance and compliance. So thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for everyone for having this such a candid conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Sagar. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you, distinguished panelists, for your guiding thoughts on the role of security transformation in digital-first enterprises. Thank you.